So niaje wase leo tena, Steven here again. So bas get up, ni fire urban mazee, ndio kutokea Wera. So yeah, naona wase kwa DM wananiuliza, is it true that taxes in Germany are so high also that zinakubebea dau yote, zinakubakishia bila kitu? And how does the social system work in Germany? Yeah, you know, we hear that social system in Germany is very good. How does it work? So yeah, taxes in Germany are actually quite high, but I think even Kenya has gotten to a place where it's almost at the same level with Germany, because Germany, the taxes here in Germany take about a third also of your gross brutto. A third, yeah, I think I can say maybe a third. So if you are being paid like let's say 3,000, 1,000 is probably going to taxes, and that is not just, that is the good thing with Germany is even though they take a lot of money, the system here works. Yeah, the system here works. So I know that people who say taxes in Kenya, we are taxed, but the things don't work. I understand that point, because here in Germany, even if the taxes are heavy, systems here work. Yeah? I mean, guys, if I was to maybe turn this camera and warn how the roads here are and everything, you cannot compare it with back home. Also, the other thing about the social system is that the healthcare, yeah, SHA ya huku, the problem with the SHA ya huku ni actually personnel. Like huku kila kitu ina work, SHA inalipia ya mtu kila kitu. I mean, huku hata upate kitu kama hizi vitu zinapelekanga watu India, sijui mtu ako na brain tumor, sijui ako na nini. Hizo ni vitu hapa mbio unaenda unafanyiwa surgery. Yeah, ni kitu ya haraka as long as unalipa tax. Na kama uko employed hapa hivi, yeah, let me use English because for my listeners who maybe don't understand Swahili. So social system here work quite well. For example, healthcare works quite well here. The problem with healthcare here is actually a shortage of personnel, and that is why people like us are actually here. Yeah, because here, as long as you have a problem, you can always go to your doctor. Your doctor will prescribe something, and then you will go and get treatment free of charge. Okay, not really free of charge, of course, because you have to pay something. Yeah, you usually have to pay something, but you can compare it with maybe like back home, where let's say maybe you have cancer or you have a brain tumor. You know how that goes back at home. Yeah, it's usually a very, very, very bad thing when somebody in your family has cancer or a brain tumor. Usually that takes people to Harambes and everything. But here in Germany, you don't have to make a Harambe here. You don't even need it. Here in Germany, as long as you pay for you are employed. As long as you are employed, you are guaranteed to get health care, and top-notch healthcare for that matter. So the problem with Germany, like I've said, is personnel problem. So here you'll find that sometimes you have to wait. For example, here in the town that I live in, if you want to get an MRI today, you will have to wait for 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. You have to wait 3 months to get an MRI here where I live, this small town. So apparently there's a system here that says that radiology department is not allowed to maybe like make 100 MRIs in a week. So you find that they are capped to prevent abuse. Yeah, they are capped. So a radiology department, you find that it is fully booked most of the time. So you have to wait for a very long time before you can get an appointment to go and get your MRI done and everything. Otherwise, you don't have to pay anything. Yeah. So that is a problem. Yeah, the problem here is actually maybe few people, and the fact that there are fewer personnel means that there are also fewer maybe places that you can go to. So in big cities, that is actually better, because there now the people are many, and the capping is a little bit higher, and also there are more, of course, there are more places where you can go for such a procedure, maybe an MRI or an X-ray, or even just a treatment. Yeah, I would say that is how system works here in Germany. So things like also education is also free actually here in Germany. Education is free. Like, you don't have to pay anything for education here for your children. For example, in the kindergarten, yeah, that is, I think for kindergarten, the government subsidizes, so the government pays like 100 euros, and then you as a parent, you pay maybe something like 50 euros or 50 to 60 euros per month, of course. But childcare is also catered for, because the government gives you child support, so you get maybe like around 250, 260, I think, something of the sort, per child. So it means if you have a child in kindergarten, you can use this money to pay the 50 that is needed, yeah, and be able to feed your children and everything. The school, these levels of school, the government takes care of school fees. You don't have to pay school fees here, but things like food, like uniform, like books, materials, you'll have to pay them yourself, yeah. The cost can actually get higher for the children, because you find that, there are demands in the school. They say maybe you need to get your child an iPad and all that stuff. So those are where maybe the cost will come. But school fees here in Germany, you don't need to worry about school fees. That is catered for by the government. Yeah, that is part of the social system. What else? Retirement. So in your salary, you pay health insurance. You pay Arbeitslos. That means job loss insurance, something of the sort. Yeah, job loss insurance. You also pay Pflegeversicherung. That is when you need maybe nursing. Let me call it a nursing insurance. You will also pay health insurance, retirement, of course. For retirement, that is compulsory. Pflegeversicherung. What else? Yeah, I think there are also a few things here and there, and of course there is the pay as you earn, which is also quite high. So those are the things that you pay from your salary in Germany, and those are actually also your employer sort of adds on that. So if you pay like maybe let's say 300 euros for retirement benefits, you find that your employer also pays a similar amount, and yeah, so that is how it works here. Yeah, of course. Getting that money is, of course, a different story for another day, but that is how systems work here. So, and that is why the tax people said taxes here in Germany are quite high, because if you add up those, insurances and those, deductions, they will usually come to about a third of your gross income. So that is why people say that taxes take a lot of money. But that is from the, gross, like I have said. The other things that we talked about yesterday about cost of life, that is of course going to come from your net, and yeah, like I said, money is personal when that comes now to your net income. Now that is your own responsibility, but yeah, that is how the system works here. I don't know whether you guys have any other questions. I think yeah, we can talk about the education, the healthcare system. That is a topic for another day. We can yeah, talk about in depth and maybe try to compare that with back home in Kenya. Otherwise, yeah, shopping kidogo. It's time to go for some shopping. Here, even vegetables, we buy them from the supermarket, which is very funny. Yeah, at first, coming here, that was very funny. But anyway, yeah, I wish you guys a good evening, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.